This is the dirtiest I've been in a while. Can you tell I'm happy with my face? I love it. This is my favorite.
I pay with lunch though.
Yeah, he bought lunch today. Woohoo. What was that? Was 12 welds? Man, I'm cheap.
Child labor laws.
I mean, I'm bald. I basically, you know.
All right, cool. So, welcome back. It's been a minute. We have done a lot since the last time we saw you guys. We mounted our lovely battery. Keaton does not like Optimas, so screw Keaton. We got an Optima. I didn't realize how expensive 2-aught and 4-aught wiring was until I went and bought 4-aught wiring. It was like $25 a foot. Ridiculous. And so I got everything wired up, I don't know, a couple weekends ago. Ran everything to our panel that myself and Everett mounted over there. Everett helped me with brakes. We got the brake pedal mounted to the firewall. I don't know yet if we're gonna do reinforcements for the brake pedal for the firewalls can be kind of flimsy, but this one seems to not be half bad for a 3rd gen. Paul's was really bad on a 2nd gen, so he did like a reinforcement bar, so I think we're doing that just, you know, like a safety thing. I've got fire punk seat mounts coming. Lynn fabbed them up this week, so we'll get them here. I've been really sick. That's why I sound like because my kid goes to school now, and so you know what happens when your kid goes to school, they bring home everything, and now everyone in my household's sick. Household, aka camper baby. Hell yeah. Hell right. But no, we got dual master cylinders here. I mounted my power steering pump reservoir. Mounted the power steering pump. Me and Everett wired it in tonight. King speed intake. We got a belt on it, tensioner, all that good shit came in. It starts and runs. It only took me like, I don't know, 3 weeks to get a frickin' turbo drain from Austin Tate, because you know he's nice and quick. And so no, he's awesome, dude. He got me a drain. The thing we did was the master switch. So obviously they're not both, not one's power, not one's ground. They're both power. I just didn't have all the wires, and I wasn't gonna go buy special, you know, colors. But this rod will stick like this here to the back. That'll run out. We'll get an extension for it. It'll run through some eyelets. Another thing you didn't see was all of the fuel lines. So return line and feed lines and all that good stuff. That all got mounted and ran when I was doing all the wiring to get it for the first fire up, which will be in the video as well. I got all my AM stuff from Paul. I got, you know, the old hand-me-downs from him. Got everything mounted there. Other than that, next week, I ordered all my stainless stuff, which I didn't realize was gonna be as expensive as it was. And so today we ordered all my stainless stuff for my exhaust, which is gonna be a hood stack, and then all my intercooler stuff. I got it on 3. Also, video sponsored by 1, Maverick Diesel, 2, my sugar mama. No, she puts up a lot of shit, so it's cool to have her here after hours with us doing bullshit. So
several days later.
On the floor. I need to pick that up before I get started. Basically, we've done a rack and pinion on Mitchell's truck, and the way everything is set up, the factory track bar no longer works. In fact, none of the brackets are even there. Cut them off. So we have to keep the axle in the front centered, and there's really no room for a track bar with the rack and pinion. We don't have room under the engine because we've got a King Speed pan and a factory style, or literally it's a factory 4-link, so we can't do a diagonal link from the axle to the frame. We ran into the same issue on my race truck. We ended up making a really short track bar on mine, which I base that off Bobby Dodrell. He has a really short one, his works. So what we decided to do on this was we're gonna do a wishbone. We have the wishbone. We were gonna bend another tube to put in so that the wishbone was a bit more flat, but it doesn't really matter. It's gonna be not terrible the way it is. So we're putting a bar in the front to keep the frame stiff, as well as use it for mounting our intercooler. And then we're also going to mount the front 2 points of the wishbone to this on the bottom side. And then the back side of our wishbone will come down to here. And that will keep the axle centered. It'll still allow for movement like this, but it won't allow it to move like this. And then we're not running a sway bar or any sort of anti-roll bar on the front, just because it's not really necessary. We have one on the back. If the front has some flex in it, we're not worried about that. So we're getting ready to weld this in, and then we're gonna get our measurements for where we want everything to be for our wishbone, and then we'll probably start notching and doing wishbone things, which is my first time doing it. So I have a pretty good idea what I'm doing. I've seen pictures. We've got it laid out, so I know how it needs to go, but it's my first time doing it, so hopefully it goes smooth. Everybody says they love wishbones, so I guess we'll see. And then if it works on his, I may redo the race truck. But yep, so we're gonna get these welded on, and then we'll start working on wishbone stuff. Mitchell's going up in the air, so that's loud noise in the background. We put a wishbone on the front, and we put it on the front side of the front, which is definitely different. Keep going. The problem with this setup is that we have a big oil pan. That's good. We have a big oil pan, and we can't do a diagonal link, which would be, diagonal link would go like from this point of the front of the floor link to this point. But we can't do that because we got this in the way, and even with a stock pan, it doesn't really work. Most everybody that has a diagonal link in the front has aftermarket brackets on their front axle and the frame, which drops the whole floor link, and then you can do a diagonal link, which is again axle to frame or either way. We couldn't do it. Well, we could do a track bar. We did a track bar on mine, and it's like this long, and that works, but there's just not a lot of room when you get up in here. Like on mine, we went from like, I don't even remember, like here to like built a bracket here.
Well, I can throw in some footage of it. But
yeah, and so we actually have a custom dent in our oil pan on this off side to allow for that room. And I didn't really want to do that on this truck because it was an absolute bear to do on my truck and it wasn't fun. And then wishbone, we couldn't really do it on the back side of the axle because, again, we run into an issue where, first off, we have no crossbar here. The closest crossbar is the cross member. And then secondly, again, oil pan gets in the way, so when the axle droops and it tries to travel, we'd run into the oil pan. So that left us with a front mounted wishbone. So we put this crossbar in, which will be our intercooler mount at some point, and it's also for the wishbone. Probably what we'll do is we'll come in and I'll do some little gussets here and triangulate it here close to our mounting points just for some extra strength there. This isn't technically done. There are a couple crossbars here and some gussets here. But anyways, we did a little bent tab here. Their long extended spacer, our misalignment joint on top. Everything looks good there. We've tested it, we've gone up and down. It does slide. We've got plenty of travel up here on these joints as well. And the axle falls down exactly the same distance as before. At least coil springs are loose. We'll never have that much travel. We'll probably only have 3 inches of travel in the front. So I gotta finish weld these 2 points. These are already welded. Add some gussets, finish this out, and the front is done. So I think we'll probably start doing this from now on. This is way easier. If we're doing a rack and pinion, we're already gonna have this tube that comes down for the rack to mount to. So that's probably how we'll end up doing it. I'd like to note, Mr. Gideon built this. So these brackets were actually, all of this was based off of rock bouncers. He's like, man, those rock crawler guys just do a tubular one and they gusset it and they got these brackets, so that's what we did. Turned out pretty good, especially for version 1.0, which there was like little to no design. It was just like, let's wing it. He did pretty good. So got this on there, get it all finished welded, and we're ready to move on to something else. Thank God. I'm tired of the front suspension. Like, I'll be fried in like half a second. Also,
Oh, you are ugly through the camera as well.
I don't need as much gas. So the wishbone is off because it's painted. I finished it up. Sure, Everett will show that later. We got our lower intercooler mounts made, so the engine can still come out. Pretty well fully assembled. And then our upper intercooler mounts, I think we're going to come off the cross member so that when we want to pull the engine, the upper mounts come off. The lower mounts by themselves are solid. Like, I don't think it would go anywhere, but so that's done. That's all welded. Wishbone's done. We're moving on. We cut the intercooler ends off. We're getting ready to weld the engine flanges on. We'll put it back in, then we'll start on piping probably in the morning tomorrow. That should go fast. I only have 2 aluminum welds, which is each engine flange. The rest of it's stainless. Stainless is muy bueno. So, back over here we go. I need a beer. when you get something like that, you just gotta no. Too good for your home? Alright. Alright. That's what we're looking for. No? Okay. Alright, so. Yeah, we'll be close.
It's gonna be very. Oh, there you go. That's money.
Angles of the dangles are a little off.
That's. I mean, that's.
It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. You know what it's gonna be?
Probably close.
It's gonna be close.
Literally, money-wise, and time.
What is it?
I said I'm invested now. Then I said, oh yeah, well, money and time.
Last time I checked, I bought lunch today. I'm welding. What am I doing welding and buying lunch?
Why'd you buy lunch today though?
I don't know. Don't like it.
You're lucky this camera's on.
What are the chances I did that?
Was that 15? Was that 15 depths?
God, Keaton's probably in there just mad right now. He's probably like, volcano.
With 11. You know what though? 15's never been my number. When I do count, it seems like 12. I always like 12. I don't know. 12 is the number I end up going with. I don't have any particular reason.
In the sauce, cutting this out. She'd be like, is this what you guys do all fucking day? Like, yes. This is what we do all day, Melanie.
Arts and fucking crafts. When can you start, Mel?
She'd probably be good at it. She just did her nails today. Some $6 stick-ons or some shit.
I was needing my nails done. I was hoping somebody around here to do it. I need my.
This could be a perfect raw for fall. When it gets cold outside, you're pointing north.
Can you hear me? Never mind, they're here.
What do you need?
Okay, I need that back.
You just like sedans?
Well, unless you want to touch something super hot.
I can put
And it's not me, so.
Take your shirt off.
Benjamin Franklin, Okay. Let's see here. It's pretty close to full. Like a splash of that.
That's pretty well there, I think.
Start turning it.
Like it's only when you turn it.
Like start turning this. It needs some more fluid.
You don't have any leaks, dude.
I don't see anything yet, no.
Can't tell, it looks like fucking ass. JK, it doesn't.
Spray painters.
Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. It'll look really good once we have Grant cut the ring and everything.
You need a nap.
You sure?
Yeah, Rick Haynes kept me up late last night.
Junk. So we work on the junk.
Everything
All trash.
is junk.
Some better trash than others. It's all mostly just garbage. That's the good one there. To be honest, I really could use to, because this side's a little closer to the hood than this side. Could really use to take a little more off this side over here.
Well, the hood's not flat.
No, I know. That's why I traced it around the hood,
Yeah.
because I did the teardrop to begin with, so I could put it in the ballpark. And then once you put it on, you realize it's like nowhere near the same because the hood slopes. And action. Okay, so back on Mitchell's truck. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know wherever it's at in the video, so I'm just gonna start from things we've done since the last time we talked. So we'll start, we've got the Mini Cooper power steering pump, which we couldn't source the connector, so we just soldered it on and then siliconed it, which is how mine is, and it's been fine. Basically, key on, and then we got a switch that powers the pump up. Got a little reservoir over here. Fluid comes out, comes down to the pump pumps fluid down to the rack returns fluid back to the tank. Pretty simple setup. So we have power steering, so if we make the engine go boom, which on my race truck came in really handy a lot, you can turn the power steering on without the engine running and get towed back. On top of that, the power steering with a rack, it makes it really nice with the slicks on the front. So that's all done. I don't think they'd done the brakes at the time. Got a Willwood dual master brake setup. I think it's like the 10-inch pedal, so it's got like the highest ratio you can get on a brake pedal. They got all their brake lines ran to the front, to the rear. We got the intercooler. The lower mounts are done, which I think we've touched on already in this video, but lower mounts are done. Intercooler is pretty solid as it is. We're gonna make some more mounts off of this, so that way when we pull the engine, we don't have more than a couple things sticking out, protruding in our way. The wishbone is finished, painted, back in, tightened down. It's good to go. It works like it's supposed to. We've got the hot side finished. We have no O-rings in it. We got to do bungs still for nitrous. We just got the exhaust finished most of the way. I still got to massage this a little bit. This side here needs to come down just a touch. Clean up the hole in the hood. Wastegate pipes will probably be next after the cold side. We need 2 more pieces of 3.5 inch to show up. I thought I had more and I did not. So this will come up. And then I have one bend, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up cutting this somewhere close, putting another bend tight here, and then coming up to here just to shorten it up so it's not such a big goofy looking piece up through here. Anyways, we'll finish that up. You guys will see that later. Wastegates, we need to do the plumbing for that. We're gonna go down underneath, come up behind here, and do 2 1 3/4, is it 1 3/4 little teardrop pipes beside this, and we'll massage the hood, and then we're gonna do a beauty ring on the hood that will match, and we'll rivet that on. We're gonna do an intake that comes up through the grill. We've already checked, we've got plenty of room. We're gonna do a 5-inch intake. It's gonna come down and be right behind the grill, probably do like a velocity stack. We're gonna leave it behind the grill. I don't wanna do it outside. I think that looks a little silly when you do that. And I also don't like them in the headlights. He's also wanting to have lights on the truck too, so that would defeat the purpose of lights. So I think that's it. I don't know, we did videos on brakes already, right?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we did
Wiring.
brakes. Oh, he's got everything ordered for the radiator. Radiator's gonna be in the back of the truck. We've got a Mazir inline pump. We've got fittings coming for the Fire Punk side bracket, and then this is a King Speed upper radiator outlet. I don't think we've mentioned we do have the King Speed intake here. We've got to get a map sensor bung to put in this pipe still. I just reminded Mitchell to order it. Yeah, he's got all the wiring stuff here. The truck does start and run. I don't think we've had that in a video yet, have we? That'll be in this video. So it does start and run, so you'll see that or have already seen it in that video, or this video. I think.
We fixed Derek Rose's transfer case.
We fixed Derek Rose's transfer case. So, backstory on this. One of our buddies needed a transfer case. Derek was selling the one out of his Pro Street truck because he was going to an SCS or whatever. And it was originally a 273, which is an electric shift. They converted it to shift manually. Apparently they pulled it apart, cleaned it, inspected it, rebuilt it, and sold it. Well, when they did something with, I think something with the shift lever or something was goofy. And we noticed we'd push it forward and it like had like a brrr noise. We're like, that's weird. And then when you push it backwards, it was like clack, 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 like the chain was doing weird things. So anyways, we pulled it apart. It was something silly. It's good now.
It was stuck between too high and neutral.
Oh, okay. So it was,
and the linkage wasn't popped in the little collector thing. So
There you go. I wasn't here for that, so I'm just going off what they
trying to pop
told
in
me.
and out of gear.
right.
Basically.
So basically it was something silly. So that's fixed. We'll be back in. And then all we have to do now is you still don't have the shift linkage hooked up, right?
Not yet.
You gotta hook the shift linkage up, put your little blocker in for the neutral safety
Well, I have
switch.
everything coming for the transcooler, so I'm just gonna wait to mount the transcooler, then run the lines and all that for down there. 'cause
So yeah, so the transcooler, because right now we just have a little bypass thing in it so that we could get fluid in it, cycle it, and start it, and it not run dry. So transcooler, then you can wire the fans, and then the water pump and all that stuff you can wire up. All that'll be here next week, and we should start making quick progress with making the truck mobile. Technically right now it will be mobile if we wanted it to be, but we'll get it mobile and then we'll just have to finish up little stuff. I mean, I say little stuff. Mount the doors, mount the bedsides, mount the front bumper, Lexan windows, which we're gonna have somebody come out and remove the windows and then we'll set the windows. We did get they used to be fleece, but now Firepunk bought the molds, which is made by Optic Armor. I think it's Optic Armor. Anyways, got those from Firepunk, got a front and a rear. We'll have to make our own sides.
Oh, seat mounts.
We gotta get harnesses. We've got the Firepunk seat brackets, which you probably already got some video of yet. Okay, Firepunk seat brackets. I didn't feel like making anything. We got one of our shifter mounts in it. We've still got to get nitrous bottles. So there's a lot of stuff.
last time.
If you guys have never built a race truck, or I mean, I know Greg's posted some videos, but like watching a few videos doesn't do justice to how long the little stuff takes. So like put an engine in, easy. Put a trans in, easy. Mount the turbo, easy. Then you got to make the piping, which is not bad. That goes quick. And then you're like, yeah, we're almost there. And then when you're almost there, just go ahead and add another month and a half on, because you've got a bunch of little crap before it's actually ready to do anything.
That's a month and a half of working on it almost every day.
Yeah, which we have been working more consistently. Last week we did quite a bit, and then I've pretty much worked this whole week. This is the dirtiest I've been in a while. Can you tell I'm happy with my face? I love it. This is my favorite.
You pay with lunch though.
Yeah, he bought lunch today. Woohoo. What was that? Was 12 welds? Man, I'm cheap. Like, I'm the cheapest in the industry.
Child labor laws.
I mean, I'm bald. I basically, bald head, bald ass, something like that.
Halloween, maybe?
Yeah. So anyways, that's where we're at. Overall, it's getting close. We're at that point. I think I am working on it more because it runs.
Yeah.
I told him the other day, I was like,
Hey,
if
what
you make it run, I'm more likely to work on it.
It's
than
been,
close.
we've done more work in the last 3 weeks than we have in the last 9 months probably.
Hey, why is that?
Because it's cold out.
Yeah, because your neighbor got pissed off.
Yeah, because I had to move to the shop.
Mitchell definitely doesn't live behind the shop.
Well, I definitely got a divorce, but it was with my neighbors, so not my wife.
So yeah, and actually that's a good subject to touch on, really. So like, my race truck, I need to do a lot of stuff, but I live 20 miles from the shop now. When we first built the race truck, and then when we rebuilt the race truck, and then when we rebuilt the race truck, I lived at the shop or within a mile of the shop. So like, you get bored or eat dinner or whatever, and the kids go to bed, and you're like, I got 3 hours, I'm gonna knock some stuff out. So it's like every night you're getting stuff done. And then you move even 20 miles away, and you're like, it's 20, 25 minute drive up with traffic, 25 minutes back. So I mean, you're talking 40 to 45 minutes, 50 minutes, almost an hour. Plus you got to eat dinner, and it takes up so much time that it's a pain. So Mitchell's kind of getting a taste of where I was when I first started, where like, you're right there, wife falls asleep early 'cause she's tired, the kids are in bed, you're like, wow, I can sit here and play on my phone or I can go get stuff done. So then it's just like, you start seeing things go together quick. So it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. It's not easy. That's the reason why some people, well, most people pay somebody to do it, because it's easier to pay an extra, let's say 40 grand to have it built than do it yourself. I don't know if 40 is a fair number. I'm just shooting a number. I mean, but I think 40 on top of the price of this would put me about where I would tell somebody it would be. Mitchell's figured up where we're at, and we're like, parts wise, I think we're like in the neighborhood of 50 right now. That's engine, trans,
I would say
piping.
5 more to go.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty fair number.
Piping, I mean, that's and that's like bare minimum. That's like the cost of tubing,
That's
the
not even
cost of brackets for the 4-link and stuff.
That doesn't include the truck at all. Like,
Yeah, the truck, which the truck was, that's a different deal. But so, I mean, I think we're gonna end up 60 to 65 complete with effectively no labor. I mean, a few lunches for me here and there, and you know, whatever. But so I've always told somebody, I think to build a nice 590 truck from the ground up with a roller, and you have nothing to start with, I think 100 to 125,000 paying someone to do it for their time is probably where you would be at. I've not asked, you know, Firepunk or anybody like that where they're at on it, but I would say they're in that neighborhood. I think that's fair. I mean, the engine alone, let's say you get a deck plate set up, just because you want a Billy Badass engine, you get a D&J deck plate set up, shit, you're 35 grand or whatever it is. Same thing, Freedom. I mean, really anybody, 35, no fuel, no air. That's, I mean, you're deep there.
Yeah.
You figure the trans parts you need, you're 10, you know, that, and that's low. I think like for a big shaft setup and everything, you're probably 12. And then at that point, if you start running the numbers, your lessons learned the hard way, you're almost better off just getting a Turbo 400, doing an SCS, and like just doing it. For Mitchell's sake, he already had a core, and like 48s are great. I mean, we've been fast with them. The downfall is really the gear ratios. You don't really start seeing that being an issue though until you're Pro Street level, where we'll say Pro Street. Pro Street's heavy Pro Mod basically. So when you're at that Pro Mod, Pro Street level, you really need to be able to pick and choose your gear ratios, which is what we struggle with. First is too short, second's too tall. Here we are. So anyways, that's where we're at. We'll see you guys next time or something. I talked a lot.
month and a half now.
Hope I didn't bore you. Peace.